Do you want to know how DevOps teams access EC2 instances only using a terminal? Well, in today's diagrammatic explanation, we'll be talking about how DevOps engineers are able to connect to an EC2 instance only using their laptop or PCs. Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about what is DevOps. DevOps engineering is the continuous improvement of how IT tasks and processes are developed, tested, maintained, and deployed. So now that we have an idea about what DevOps engineering is, we can understand what a DevOps engineer does. A DevOps engineer makes sure that simple IT tasks when it comes to working with fintech companies are being able to automate are automated and run faster. So now let's look at DevOps teams. In DevOps, we have multiple teams. We have the app developers, we have the app testers, app builders, code quality testers, backup, security team, deployment, Docker team, deploy team, and monitor team. Now let's look at the developers. The app developers, they use Linux commands to create run code. They also use scripting and Git and GitHub. Now, once they're creating lines of code for the application, we need to send it over to the application testing team. Now, the application testing team, they test major functionalities such as the logins, the user interface, and many more. Once everything's been tested and it works properly, we send it over to the app builders. The app builders uses Maven to build application either in a jar file, a WAR file, or an ER file. Now, once everything's being built, we send it over to the code quality testers. These code quality testers use unit test casing and SonarQube to make sure that the code is functional and there aren't many bugs in the actual application. Once everything has been tested and is up to standards, we send it over to the backup team. This backup team, they back up what we have so far so that as we're going forward, we don't lose all the meaningful progress that we made. They use Nexus to back it up. Once everything is backed up, we need to secure an application using Nginx. The security team uses Nginx architecture to separate the hackers from the users. Once they separate them, they can use firewalls and certain ports to prevent them accessing the application database. Now, once application secured, it depends on whether the application is a simple or heavy application. If it's a simple application, we can deploy it using Tomcat and or Ansible. Now, the difference between Tomcat or Ansible is that Tomcat develop it Tomcat deploys it one by one, whereas Ansible are able to deploy multiple at the same time. Now, if we have a heavy application for a major company, then we need to use Docker. Docker creates and runs containers so that we're able to create big containers. So once we're deploying it, it all goes fluently. And no matter whether you use Tomcat or Kubernetes, we always need to monitor our application to make sure that there aren't any bugs or any abnormalities happening in the app servers. We use New Relic to monitor them. Now we've looked at the DevOps teams and their major roles. Let's talk about how the app developers are able to access an Amazon EC2 instance to do their work from home. Now, you might be wondering, what is AWS and what is an EC2 instance? Well, let's talk about that. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Now, Amazon Web Services provides a variety of web services for multiple companies such as EC2 or VPC, S3 bucket, But in today's video, let's focus on EC2. What does EC2 mean? EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computer. This Elastic Cloud Computer is a computer that you can connect to in the cloud, which means that it's secure and our work is being synchronized and everyone can see what we're doing. So it's a big workspace. So now let's look at the app developers. What do the app developers need to connect to such an EC2 instance? They would need to master Linux commands. These Linux commands allows them to manage files, users, packages, processes, services, and the system. They using the Linux commands, they're able to manage the EC2 instance. Now, each EC2 instance has an instance type. We have Red Hat 9, Ubuntu, Linux, Amazon AWS. We have multiple. But all of them, what they all have in common is they use Linux. You might be wondering why Linux, and if you're wondering that, then please click on this video. I'll explain why we use Linux. So you need to master Linux commands. And in order to work in EC2 instance, you will need an SSH client. Typically, we would use MobaXterm or PuTTY. But for today's video, we're going to be using MobaXterm. I'll show you how to install MobaXterm and how to connect to your actual EC2 instance in this video. But today's video, we'll be explaining using diagrams how they're able to do that. So once they have an SSH client installed on their own device, they would need to have a private key and they would need to open port 22. On the instance, we have a security group. Now, a security group only allows certain ports to enter to make sure so that means that they're able to block any unnecessary traffic or traffic that they don't know where it's coming from to keep it secure. Now, that we've used SSH and port 22 and our own private key that we get from the company, we're able to connect to the EC2 instance and start to do our work in the cloud. Sounds very, very exciting, doesn't it? Well, that's it for today's video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to know what I do mostly, then please check out my channel. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Bye! Congratulations on watching the full video. Remember, practice makes perfect. If you have any questions, please comment it in the comment section down below. I'll see you all in the next video as you continue your DevOps learning journey with DevOps Lewis.